Can you give us your initial reactions to the deal that we've just heard?
Well, the initial reaction has to be that relief at one level, just at the idea that the genocide, the obliteration of humanity, of people, of children in Gaza will hopefully come to an end. That's the first and immediate and I think overwhelming sense. On the other hand, as your reporters just indicated, this deal is very tentative, and the Israelis continue to kill and to bomb even as we speak. The deal goes into effect, in theory, on the 19th of this month. But let's see if the deal holds. But of course, the first and overwhelming sense is simply a sense of relief that for the people of Gaza, at least the horror of what they have experienced will be mitigated. Although, of course, there's still this extraordinary ruined landscape that they're going to have to contend with.
Well, that's right, because officials in Gaza have said that at least 30 Palestinians have been killed in Israeli attacks since this deal was announced. As you say, the first phase of this ceasefire agreement is supposed to take effect from Sunday. How hopeful are you that we will see this deal activated come Sunday?
I mean, honestly, it's hard to say. It's hard to be super hopeful. I mean, given what the Israelis have done in Gaza, given the fact that the Israelis are still in Lebanon. Don't forget there was a deal in Lebanon as well. And yet the Israelis have been blowing up buildings and homes and villages in Lebanon despite the deal there, and killing people and bombing and violating the ceasefire day in, day out. So I'm not sure what's going to happen in Gaza. The reality, however, is that, and the tragedy and the travesty, in fact, is that this deal should have been struck months and months ago, and should have averted the killings and the wounding and the maiming of tens of thousands of people. And that's what's really so awful about this deal. This could have been struck months ago.
And we've been hearing some initial reaction from Benjamin Netanyahu's administration, particularly from the far-right elements of his government, including the finance minister, Bezalel Smotrich. He is opposed to the deal and says he wants the war in Gaza to continue. And we know the hard-right elements of Netanyahu's administration hold much sway in the government of Israel at the moment. Are you worried that because of those elements, we might in fact see the fighting resume when all of the remaining hostages are released?
Yeah, who knows? I mean, first of all, Netanyahu himself, of course, is far right. And so those to the right of him are even more far right. And the reality is that the underlying situation, the occupation of the West Bank, the occupation of Jerusalem, the apartheid society and state, the siege of Gaza, all these are the underlying conditions that, of course, gave rise to the very idea of resisting this state and to October 7th and everything that's followed after October 7th. So this in and of itself is simply a pause in the slaughter, the overt and open slaughter of people in Gaza that has shocked the entire world. So hopefully, at least on one level, no matter what the extreme right in Israel says, in the end, the reality is that the Palestinians remain in and on the ground. And so let's hope that the bloodshed ends.
Yes, and we know that from the Palestinian point of view, the struggle really started back in 1948 when they were expelled from the land when the State of Israel was formed. In President Biden's response to this agreement, he did say that he had hoped that at some point this may lead to a homeland, a statehood for the Palestinians. That has been long-standing US foreign policy, but of course a lot of people have said that successive presidents have just paid lip service to that idea. Do you believe that the Palestinians are any closer to their own homeland?
I think that first of all, anything that Biden says is tarnished by the fact that Biden will go down in history as the president, the U.S. president that oversaw, enabled a genocide on his watch and did almost nothing to stop it. And in fact, kept supplying Israel with all the weapons that enabled Israel to carry out this genocide. Whether the Palestinians achieve liberation in the near term or in the longer term is, of course, up for. We'll find out and see. But the reality is, I think, more fundamental is that the Palestinians remain and have to remain and have remained on the ground, on their land, and that the Zionist narrative, which is so essential to how Israel sells itself, has taken huge damage as a result of this genocide, because the entire world can see what has happened, and the entire world is horrified by what has happened. And so I think that will ultimately translate into some kind of, hopefully, some kind of process, a real process that leads to liberation for all people in this place.